1. Canada. Canada's economy is quietly shifting in response to growing global instability. Traditionally reliant on natural resources, trade, and stable markets, Canada now faces the challenge of preparing for potential conflict while maintaining civilian prosperity. Government budgets indicate subtle shifts toward defense, dual-use infrastructure, and strategic resource security, reflecting awareness that international tensions may soon demand rapid mobilization. Defense spending, while still modest compared to global powers, has increased steadily, signaling a strategic intent to maintain readiness. Ports, transportation networks, and energy grids are being upgraded under the guise of civilian projects but serve as vital logistical arteries in case of military contingencies. These investments position Canada to respond quickly to threats without undermining domestic stability. Trade and supply chain resilience have become central to policy. Investments in domestic manufacturing and energy independence aim to buffer the economy against disruptions, particularly in technology, rare materials, and energy imports. By strengthening internal capacity, Canada reduces vulnerability while maintaining flexibility to support military or strategic operations if necessary. Financial markets are closely tracking geopolitical signals. Investors show caution in sectors tied to global supply chains, energy, and defense. Government incentives are increasingly targeted toward industries that could double as strategic assets in a crisis, reinforcing the dual-use strategy embedded within civilian economic growth. In conclusion, Canada is balancing economic stability with strategic preparedness. The government's subtle but deliberate fiscal choices suggest that while peace remains the default, contingency plans are being quietly embedded into the economy. Every infrastructure upgrade, energy investment, and manufacturing initiative contributes to a framework that could support national security in the face of rising global tensions. 2. Russia. Russia's economy is unmistakably shaped by military priorities, reflecting decades of geopolitical assertiveness. The country's energy exports, heavy industry, and defense sectors dominate its fiscal landscape, with a clear emphasis on sustaining military capabilities and strategic influence abroad. Recent budget allocations show that even civilian programs often serve secondary strategic objectives. Defense spending accounts for a significant share of the national budget, supporting advanced missile programs, naval expansion, and electronic warfare capabilities. Russia's military modernization is synchronized with industrial policy, ensuring that domestic production can support a long-term conflict scenario without relying heavily on external suppliers. Energy exports, particularly natural gas and oil, remain a central tool of both economic and geopolitical strategy. Revenue from these sectors funds military programs and provides leverage over dependent economies, reinforcing Russia's global position while insulating domestic stability against sanctions or supply disruptions. Financial and investment policies emphasize national control over critical sectors. Foreign capital is limited in strategic industries, while domestic investment channels prioritize dual-use technology, cyber capabilities, and industrial modernization. This ensures that economic growth directly supports military and strategic readiness. In conclusion, Russia's economy is effectively a war economy disguised as normal industrial and energy growth. Civilian prosperity is interwoven with defense and strategic objectives, creating a system where every dollar supports both domestic stability and geopolitical power projection. The patterns are clear. Russia is positioning itself for conflict readiness while maintaining the appearance of a functioning civilian economy. 3. United States. The United States maintains the world's largest military budget, but its economic strategy increasingly blends civilian prosperity with conflict preparedness. Infrastructure, technology, energy security, and defense innovation all operate as dual-purpose investments, designed to sustain both economic growth and strategic readiness. Defense allocations alone approach $900 billion annually, funding advanced aerospace, cyber warfare, naval expansion, and nuclear modernization. These expenditures are complemented by civilian technology initiatives, AI, quantum computing, and semiconductors, which serve dual-use roles in both commerce and defense. Infrastructure modernization projects, including transportation and energy grids, are deliberately aligned with military utility. Ports, railways, and power systems are designed to support both civilian use and rapid mobilization of personnel and equipment in case of conflict. Strategic energy reserves and alternative fuel development further enhance resilience. Trade and supply chain security remain a central concern. With globalization exposing vulnerabilities, The U.S. is investing in domestic production of critical materials and fostering strategic alliances to ensure continuity of essential sectors in times of tension. Government incentives increasingly favor sectors that are economically productive and militarily strategic. In conclusion, the U.S. economy reflects an intentional blending of prosperity and strategic preparedness. Civilian and military priorities are integrated to ensure resilience, rapid response capability, and technological superiority. The message is clear: economic growth is inseparable from security readiness in a world edging closer to conflict. 4. China. China's recent fiscal behavior is a textbook example of dual-use economic strategy. Massive infrastructure projects, social programs, and technology investments fuel growth today while embedding resources critical for strategic military readiness tomorrow. Bridges, ports, railways, and airports not only support civilian life but serve as logistical arteries for potential rapid mobilization. High-tech investments in AI, drones, semiconductors, and surveillance systems are equally dual-purpose. These sectors advance domestic innovation while providing the PLA with capabilities that could be deployed in conflict scenarios. Hundreds of billions of dollars in such programs reflect a deliberate and long-term strategic vision. Energy infrastructure and communication networks further illustrate China's preparation. Investments in reliable power, secure data networks, and logistics hubs ensure that society functions normally while simultaneously creating a reserve that could sustain military operations. Such planning allows China to maintain stability while keeping war-ready capacity discreet. The official defense budget of $250 to $300 billion USD is only the visible portion of the war-ready economy. Combined with dual-use infrastructure and high-tech investments, China effectively maintains a reserve of resources that could pivot rapidly to strategic use, giving it flexibility and resilience in regional conflicts. In conclusion, China's economic policies demonstrate a carefully orchestrated dual strategy, maintaining civilian growth while preparing for contingencies. Every major infrastructure and technology investment serves both prosperity and potential military readiness. The real money is reserved for strategic advantage, ensuring that China remains poised for rapid escalation if required. 5. The world. Globally, economies are increasingly reflecting the hidden pressures of geopolitical tension. Major powers invest in dual-use infrastructure, technology, and energy systems, blending civilian prosperity with contingency planning. Trade, supply chains, and critical materials are prioritized not only for growth but for security resilience. Emerging military technologies, AI, drones, cyber capabilities, hypersonic weapons, are driving global economic strategies. Nations recognize that technological superiority is inseparable from economic strength, and investments in innovation are designed to serve both civilian and military objectives. Resource security, including energy independence, food supply, and rare minerals, is now central to economic policy. Governments are strategically investing to insulate populations from potential disruptions while maintaining the ability to project power abroad if necessary. Global financial systems reflect cautious optimism. Investors monitor geopolitical risks carefully, favoring sectors that can support economic resilience and strategic flexibility. Subsidies, incentives, and trade policies increasingly prioritize industries that are both profitable and strategically critical. In conclusion, the world economy is quietly preparing for a more unstable future. Civilian growth and prosperity are intertwined with national security priorities, creating systems where resources serve multiple purposes. In this global landscape, no economy is purely civilian. Every fiscal decision is also a hedge against rising conflict. 6. Canada outro. Returning to Canada, the lessons from global trends are clear. While the country has maintained stability and prosperity, it cannot ignore the strategic imperatives shaping the world. Investments in infrastructure, technology, energy security, and dual-use projects ensure that Canada remains resilient, flexible, and prepared. The subtle integration of civilian growth with strategic readiness positions Canada to respond effectively if global tensions escalate. Lessons from Russia, the US, China, and worldwide investments highlight the necessity of blending prosperity with contingency planning. Canada's economy is no longer just about trade and natural resources. It is increasingly a framework capable of supporting both national security and civilian life. Each fiscal decision, from port upgrades to energy infrastructure, contributes to a war-ready foundation without overtly alarming the public. By observing global patterns, Canada can continue strengthening its economy while quietly maintaining strategic flexibility. The nation is embedding dual-use capabilities into its infrastructure, technology, and energy systems, preparing for any future uncertainty. In conclusion, Canada's current fiscal and economic strategy reflects foresight, resilience, and preparedness. The world may be edging toward instability, but Canada is quietly ready to maintain prosperity while safeguarding security, ensuring that when tensions rise, the country can respond effectively without sacrificing civilian stability.